Hi everyone, I'm Andrea and this is your Career Academy tip of the week. So this week I'm going to talk about applicant tracking systems and how you need to format your resume to be ATS compliant. So let's get started.
Okay, so the definition of an applicant tracking system, or an ATS, which is what I'll call it from now on, is that it screens and sorts candidates' resumes. It's a computer system that can read your resume, scan it for those keywords that the employer is specifically looking for, and then select it or not select it. So there's some techniques that I'm going to go over to make sure that your resume is ATS compliant so that it's read and also potentially selected. So one thing to know is that employers are searching for keywords. So they put the keywords that they want in the ATS system, and then that ATS system scans resumes, identifies those with the keywords that they're looking for, and then selects them or not selects them. So here's an example of what it means to have keywords in your resume. So an employer, if they're hiring a graphic designer, might be looking for someone with 5 years experience. They want the words develop and design, logos, branding, websites, Photoshop, InDesign, HTML, creative, communication, time management. So you could see there are words that are both hard skills and soft skills. And then the ATS starts scanning resumes and looking for these keywords in the resume. So there's two things to think about when building an ATS compliant resume. One is the formatting. You want to make sure that your resume is able to be read by the computer system. And then two, it's making sure that the content is relevant to what the employer is looking for. So you want to make sure that you're using words and ideas that convey and will be in line with what the employer is looking for. So let's first talk about formatting. So formatting is the kind of the look and feel, how things are laid out on the page. So the don'ts. Don't use graphics, columns, text boxes, pictures, untypical section titles. So instead of saying work history, you might just say career history, using acronyms just by themselves and not explaining them once. So make sure that the first time you use an acronym that you put in parentheses what that stands for. And then overly formatting, so using lots of tabs, italic, underline. These things are going to make it really hard for the ATS system to read. What you want to do is have a very simple format, left justified. You can use bold, that's okay, and you can use color on text. You want common section titles that are just known: work history, education, skills list, technical skills list, certifications, those types of titles. Make sure to include a summary and a skills list along with your work history. Your work needs to be in the reverse chronological order. Like I said before, use both the acronym and its meaning. You don't have to have that throughout the resume. You can start using just the acronym, but at one point you need to explain it. And then if you're on a job search website, use their template. So if you're using Indeed or Monster and they say you can upload your information into our template, go ahead and do that. That will be the best way to make sure that your resume is being read. So here's some examples of resumes that an ATS would have a hard time reading. And these are all templates from Microsoft Word. So I would suggest not to use these templates. If you need one, just let us know. But as you can see, this resume template has, it has a picture, it has columns. So this would be considered a column where there's information on one side and then everything is on the other. And then there's just some other graphics in here that are not necessary and it would make it difficult to read. So here's another example. Again, this is a column format. The ATS just cannot read these very well. It doesn't understand why there's something over here, and it may bring in just the objective, but not your work experience. Or it may bring in your work experience and education, but not the skills. So make sure to keep a simple format. And lastly, again, here's another Microsoft Word template. The picture is not going to be one, you shouldn't be using pictures, but it's not going to help. It's in a column format, and there's also some graphics down here at the bottom. So you can have a really nice looking, we call them kind of the pretty resume, the nice one that looks really interesting. You can have one of those, but if you're going to be using an ATS system, uploading onto websites, you need to look at a different type of format. So here is an example of a very simple format that can be read by the ATS system, and this is what we use most of the time. So everything is left justified. It has its own section. There's no graphics. There's no columns. It's just really easy to read. And same here. There's different sections. There are no columns. There's no graphics. There's no text boxes. So the ATS will be able to read it very easily. And one more example. This format has very little formatting to it. It's just kind of very basic, and that's what you want for an ATS compliant format. All right, so the next thing is to think about the content of the resume. So if you have a good format and the ATS is able to read all the information, well, you got to make sure your information is what the employer is looking for. So the don'ts of the content are: don't not read the job description, because that's where all the pertinent information is going to be. Don't write in paragraph form. Make sure that you're using bullet points and make sure that it's readable. Don't write in the first person. Remember, in resume writing, you're writing with kind of this third person using verbs to start sentences. Don't use keywords in this. Don't only use keywords in the skills section. So what that means is make sure that when you're identifying keywords in the job description, it's in the skills section as well as the summary and your work history. You want to spread it out all the way through. And then don't write only task-oriented sentences. Make sure that you're also showing how you were able to do your job in achievement-oriented sentences. So the do's are: identify keywords and themes from the job description, add those keywords to the summary, work history, and skills section, use bullet points, try to fit your resume on one page if possible, and then add achievement-oriented sentences. And I have other videos that go over this type of thing of how to identify keywords and how to write achievement-oriented sentences, and I'll link them in the summary.
All right, everyone, I hope that was helpful. If you want to find out if your resume is ATS compliant, you can email, call, or text Yulia or I, and we'd be happy to help you. I hope you have a good weekend.